know what time it is? It's logging time. So here behind me you can see I've got a bunch of nice red fir that are down, left by the previous loggers. And to my astonishment, they're actually in good shape. They don't show really any signs of rot on them. So they're kind of nice, a little bit too nice and too straight to cut up for firewood, but it's hard to tell when they're all mixed in here and all jumbled up. So we're going to set up a little yarding operation using my truck and electric winch, and we're going to pull these up to a landing and roll them out and kind of see what we got. Using my truck here for a yarder, I've got the winch mounted there in the back. I've got a 9,000 pounds electric straight pull winch there. You can see the cable will run down here, and then we have down there all of the logging, several sticks down there all tangled up in the brush. Since I'm using such a small winch, that's going to put a lot of strain on it, so we're going to need a mechanical advantage. I'll show you how we can get double the pulling power with the simple use of a pulley. Because we're going to be pulling uphill, it's going to tend to want to pull the truck downhill, so we need to secure the truck to keep it from going anywhere. So using a soft strap here around the tree, we've lashed that, hooked it with the cable, and then fastened it here to the front of the truck. So we don't have to worry about the winch pulling the truck down the hill. Now if I'm going to be hooking rigging to a tree that I want to keep, I want to be sure and use a soft strap, a soft nylon strap. That'll prevent the pulling on this from damaging the cambium layer. And then we can chain or clevis hook that to the winch or to the front of the truck, and we'll be set. So down here at the log we're going to use a little device called a choker, simply a short piece of cable with a hook. This is just a small variation of them, and this will pull tight around the log. Because the winch that I have is actually really small for logging operations, we're going to need to use, as I said earlier, a mechanical advantage. And that consists of nothing really more than a pulley here. You can see this is called a snatch block, and it swivels like this so you can insert the cable. So we'll use a big clevis here, and then we'll fasten the block to our choker. Like so. So a quick recap, we've got the main line coming from the winch in the back of the truck down here through the snatch block pulley, which is connected to the choker on the stick of timber that we want to yard out of here, and then this end of the cable with the hook on it is going to go up here and hook to a deadhead. Now again, using another soft strap, a deadhead's nothing more than an immovable object, like a tree or a stump. We've got this clevis on here. Here's the end of our cable. I don't use the hook because it'll always come loose on you, so cable and clevis everything. Now you want to remember with winches, when they're rated for, like for example, this Warren winch is rated for 9,000 straight line pull. What that means is that it'll pull 9,000 pounds on the first wrap of the drum. As the cable starts to spool up and build up on there, the pull is going to be diminished. So your maximum strength is going to be on your first wrap. So here's how it all breaks down. Winch line down to the load, hooks to the snatch block or the pulley, through the pulley, winch line back up, connected to a deadhead or an immovable source. What's the purpose of all this? What we've just done is we've just done a 50% gear reduction. This will now pull twice as hard and half as fast. When skidding logs this way, you're inevitably going to run up against a small stump. Once you do that, the log is immovable. There are devices that you can put over a kind of a cone-shaped thing to help solve this problem. Real logging operations, they lift up the end so that doesn't catch, but that's why a PV is so important. We can use a PV just to roll it over and then continue our yarding. Now sometimes you'll have to use your snatch block to change the direction of the load, whatever you're pulling. This one right here fell sideways, and you can see it's kind of getting into my splitter there and wanted to come in behind the logs I was getting in before. So I just simply change the direction. I'll just put my block over here on a tree, pull it up to an area where it's clear of anything obstructions, and then rehook it and then continue pulling it up. So that's about it for me today. I got a nice deck of logs here and another big pile back there behind me. That'll be good for firewood. Some of these will be for firewood, some for milling, but a lot of the forest cleared and a good, honest, hard day's work. You know, it's kind of funny that before I became a Christian, I was not a very orderly or neat person. I always had junk all over in my car, and I didn't look after my tools and didn't keep things organized and put away very well. And one thing that's really changed, that God's changed in my life, has given me and shown me the importance of having things neat and orderly, done orderly. You know, just a perfect example here. Before, when I was working out here in the forest, or if I was working in the forest, I would have just walked away, leaving my tools laying out here, thinking, they'll be fine. Most likely, it's not going to rain, and I'm going to use them anyway. So what's the point of picking them up? Well, what inevitably happens is that you wake up in the middle of the night and it's pouring down rain, and there are all your saws and all your tools out, and then you have that anxiety, and putting them away then is a whole lot worse than it was had you just done it at the first time. You wouldn't have had your sleep interrupted, you would have had a peaceful night, and you would have just had one less thing in your life to worry about. And we all could use less things to worry about in our lives. They're so complicated. I think God really likes us to be neat and orderly in our homes and in our cars and such. The perfect example is the children of Israel when they were coming. Moses led them out of Egypt. He gave them really specific instructions how to arrange their tents. He didn't just say go out there into the plain of Jordan and just put your tents up wherever, but everything was done neatly and in squares and in rows and by number. And I think that neatness is a real characteristic of God. If you doubt that there is a creator that's created the universe, you just look at how chaotic things will get if there's not a hand there to look after them and to keep them neat. Just take your shop, for example. Start about 3 or 4 projects and don't put tools away after you use them, and just put them down and just keep pulling and pulling and pulling. And it's amazing to me how fast a shop can revert from organization to chaos. So without that hand, without that intervention, that's what happens, and that's the same thing that would turn out with our universe. If there wasn't a guiding hand there, it would resort back to chaos. It's just the nature of things. So I thought this was a logging video. Anyway, that's just my 2 cents. So thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next video. Goes to someone that he never knew, and it doesn't really benefit him anything at all.